The sky's crystal clear, clouds just chilling as they float by, and tucked between all these mountains, there's this ancient temple quietly hanging out. A monk with a totally white beard and hair sat there looking all serious. The monk asked, "So you want to know about Wei Yanhao?" The historian leaned in and replied, "Yep, that's right." Sitting before him was Master Wu Shan, known as the Living Buddha. He straightened up and explained why he was here. "I'm putting together all the info and documenting his life story." Master Wu Shan chuckled softly and said, "Hey, Wei Yanhao, the supreme light warrior, Wei Yanhao." "Ah, master." With a dramatic flourish, he snapped open his folding fan, gaze drifting off into the distance. He was honestly super kind and upright, like you'd think Buddha himself sent him down. The master started sweating and even trembled a little. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out the last few words. "Came down to save us mortals." Oh, just as expected. The historian kept jotting notes and pressed further. "So, what's his everyday life like?" Master Wu Shan's neck veins popped and he started shaking uncontrollably. "What's he like day to day? How does he usually look?" The historian looks puzzled as the master's face turns beet red, veins bulging. He squeezed out through clenched teeth. "Crap, I can't keep making this up." The historian stopped writing in shock, mouth hanging open. "Excuse me?" He couldn't believe what he just heard. "Screw this." The historian got yeeted out the door, landing face first with a huge thud. At the door, a figure in red stood there, chilling. It was Peng Daoke, the grand elder of the Peng family from Hubei, looking absolutely fierce as he roared, "Wei Yanhao this, Wei Yanhao that." He kept yelling, "Why would a shameless jerk like you even come here?" Peng Daoke shouted toward the inner courtyard, "Bring a whole bag of salt, sprinkle it everywhere." The historian looked up in shock. "What?" "The secret chronicles of the supreme light warrior Wei Yanhao. He's the legendary hero who ended the chaos, a true gentleman and great man, and also a world-famous swordsman. Some call him the strongest in history, others say he's the top hero in the world." "But why does everyone dodge talking about him?" The historian looked determined. "As a historian, it's my job to dig up all the hidden sides of history, even the stuff nobody talks about." The historian showed up at a rundown shack in the woods. Maybe today he'd finally get some answers. An old man in tattered clothes laughs heartily. Hey, so Shaolin and the Peng family kicked you out, huh?" He slaps his thigh. "This guy is the divine dog of the beggar sect." The historian sits across from him, chaos all around. He said, "Yep, pretty much wherever I go, people all react the same way. As soon as I mention Wei Yanhao, the divine dog gives a knowing grin. Of course they'd react like that." The historian, still puzzled, asks, "What do you mean?" The divine dog's mind drifts back a century to the Wei family in Guangdong, majestic under the setting sun. "He was definitely the worst guy ever," the divine dog comments. Meanwhile, a boy tosses and turns in bed. 12-year-old Wei Yanhao opens his eyes, determined, "I'm gonna be number one in the world." Once upon a time, there was a boy who dreamed of being number one. He was born into a martial arts family and grew up soaking in all that hero stuff, so naturally, he already knew the way to the top. The shortcut to being number one? Just non-stop grinding, honestly. Wei Yanhao kicked back with his hands behind his head and said, "Yeah, no matter how talented you are, if you don't put in the work, you get nothing. Hard work's the only real way to go." But for this determined kid, there's just one tiny problem. It's already way too late to start today. He looked at the sunset outside, then flopped straight back onto his bed, burying his face in the pillow. What a shame. Today was supposed to be the day I started my journey to become number one. He rolled over with a grin and said, "Whatever, I'll just get a good night's sleep tonight and train tomorrow." The boy pulled up his blanket totally satisfied and drifted off to sleep. A man walked over to the bedside, looked at the soundly sleeping Wei Yanhao, and whispered, "Get up." Wei Yanhao, meanwhile, was drooling in his sleep. He was out cold, dreaming away, when suddenly the man's voice shot up. "I told you to get up." Wei Yanhao jolted awake, sat up, and went, "Oh, you're here." The visitor was none other than the boss of the Guangdong Wei family, Yixia Jianwei Zhenghan. He glared and grilled him. "Do you even know what time it is right now?" Wei Yanhao pointed out the window and said confidently, "I see the sun." Wei Zhenghan shot back, "Then why are you still in bed?" Wei Yanhao replied, "Because the sun's still going down." Wei Zhenghan frowned. "Do you even know how long you've been in this room?" Wei Yanhao thought about it. 2 days, I think. Or was it 3 days? Nope, I think it was 2. Wei Zhenghan finally lost it. It's been 4 days. You useless slacker. You've been wrapped up in your blanket, rolling around for 4 whole days. He kept yelling, "Lying there for so long. Doesn't your back hurt?" Even a bear would roll over after sweating it out for 3 days. Wei Yanhao chuckled. Hey, that's why I get up now and then. No need to worry about me. Wei Zhenghan was shaking with rage, while Wei Yanhao looked on, puzzled. Wei Yanhao slyly defended. I did try to practice, but every time I opened my eyes, the sun was already down, so, he laughed, eyes squinting. Once the sun goes down, it's bedtime. Otherwise, how am I supposed to get up early and train tomorrow? Wei Zhenghan's roar cut him off. Ah, you little rascal. He grabbed his son's bed frame and flipped him out in one swift move. Wei Yanhao tumbled sideways, bewildered. Wei Zhenghan roared. Today I'm gonna fix your trash attitude once and for all. The grand old Guangdong mansion rang with screams as he shouted, "You're getting a serious lesson from me. Yeah! Ouch, ouch, ouch!" Meanwhile, as the sun set outside, Wei Zhenghan slumped at his desk in the family study, rubbing his forehead, totally wiped out. Sigh. The Wei family's steward, Chao Fang, came over and asked, "Is it about the second young master again?" Wei Zhenghan let out a long sigh. Who else could stress me out besides him? Cao Fang bowed and tried to comfort him. "Don't worry, sir, the young master will grow up soon." Wei Zhenghan covered his face with his hand and let out a long, deep sigh. Ugh, he muttered to himself. This is all my fault. When Wei Yanhao was 2, Wei Zhenghan slung a giant sword over his back and set out on his journey as a martial artist. His wife, Han Shengya, was pregnant with their daughter Wei Shulian, and their sons Wei Shenhao and Wei Yanhao were still little. He thought he'd be back in 2 years tops, but got caught up in all sorts of adventures, only returning 8 years later. Sure, he earned the title of Yixia Sword, but he lost so much more. Coming home, his once gentle wife was now fiercer than a tiger, and his beloved son had turned into a lazy sloth. Wei Zhenghan let out a long sigh, worry written all over his face. Steward Chao Fang tried to comfort him. "Don't stress, there's gotta be a way." Wei Zhenghan asked, "And what way would that be?" Cao Fang chimed in, "Did you forget? He's coming back real soon." Wei Zhenghan blinked. Huh? Suddenly, his whole face lit up. "Oh, right," Chao Fang added. "Yep, after 3 years, he's finally coming back from the academy." A sly grin crept across Wei Zhenghan's face. "Yeah, Wei Yanhao, that little rascal. There's really only one person he's actually scared of." Suddenly, a chill shot down Wei Yanhao's spine. "Why do I suddenly feel so cold?" He looked up. Oh, it was him. Wei Shenhao, the eldest son of the Guangdong Wei family. Wei Yanhao whispered, "Bro." Wei Shenhao asked coolly, "How long have you been asleep?" Wei Yanhao stammered, When did you get here?" Shenhao's gaze was sharp. "I asked you first." Wei Yanhao started rambling. Shenhao's stare was ice cold, making Wei Yanhao blurt out, No, it's not what you think. I did practice this morning. I really tried. I just took a nap because I was so tired. Seriously. When did he even get back?"
Shenhao rested his hand on his sword, standing in the room, and asked skeptically, "You really practiced?" Wei Yanhao nodded hard from his bed. "Yep." Shenhao pointed at the candlestick across the room and said, "All right, then show me. Split that candle in half with one move."
Wei Yanhao blinked in confusion. Huh? Shenhao just looked super serious. "Let me see how much you've actually leveled up in these 3 years." Wei Yanhao grabbed his sword, super unwilling. He was just standing there in the middle of the room. Shenhao urged, "What are you standing around for? Chop chop." He hesitated, awkwardly saying, but we're indoors. This could get dangerous." Shenhao shouted back, "I'll handle it. Just show me what you can do." Wei Yanhao could only give in. "All right, fine." He took a deep breath and psyched himself up. "All right, guess I just gotta bite the bullet." The kid steps forward, gripping his sword tight. The sword let out a soft little hum, glowing with a chill blue light. He struck a pose in the courtyard, eyes locked on a distant target. With a push from his feet, he spun into the air. A sharp streak of blue sword light sliced through the night sky, flashing by faster than a DM sliding into your inbox. Shenhao's eyes narrowed just a bit, like he was sizing things up. The young man unleashed the flying dragon sword technique mid-air, the sword's energy howling. He glanced back at the flame. The candle was doing a little wobbly dance. "I messed up." Shenhao watched, stone-faced. 3 years have gone by. He kept talking. 3 years is plenty of time to master a sword technique and level up to the next stage. Shenhao slowly turned around. "But you're actually worse than you were 3 years ago." Wei Shenhao's figure zipped past outside the window. Under the night sky, the Wei family mansion was silent.
The whole family was sitting around the dinner table, but things felt kind of tense. Wei Yanhao looked super annoyed. "I swear I'm gonna get indigestion for real." Wei Zhenghan asked, "So, how's life at the martial arts school?"
Wei Shenhao replied, "All good." Then he asked, "Any tough stuff lately?" Wei Shenhao said, "If there aren't any struggles, is it even training? Honestly, it's just what you gotta go through to level up." Wei Zhenghan nodded, looking pleased. "You've had it tough while I was gone." Wei Shenhao replied, "Dad, you being away for so long is way tougher." Wei Zhenghan turned to the others. "So, anyone else got questions?" Wei Shenhao put down his chopsticks and said, Actually, I do.
Wei Zhenghan and his wife both looked at him. Wei Zhenghan asked, what is it? Shan Hao said, it's about Yan Hao. Wei Zhenghan and Han Shangya both turned to look at him.
Han Shangya looked at Yan Hao and asked, what about you? Wei Yan Hao jumped up, totally freaked out. What about me? Shan Hao stared at his brother and suggested, I think we should take Yan Hao to my martial arts school. Wei Yan Hao looked like he'd just heard the end of the world. The divine dog said to the historian, that's why even Master Wu Shan and Peng Daoke grit their teeth at the mention of Wei Yan Hao's name, a sword shining with blue light, with dragon patterns carved on the blade. And just like that, the epic story officially kicked off. No one could have imagined that this lazy boy would one day shake the entire world. Wei Yan Hao screamed in panic. Wei Shan Hao, let's take a break before we go. A drop of cold sweat slid down his cheek. And so Wei Yan Hao was half pushed and half dragged to the martial arts school. His little sister's dramatic sobbing echoed from behind. Don't go! Dad Wei Zhenghan's face turned bright red as he yelled at the top of his lungs. Come back as a real man! Mum cupped her hands around her mouth, eyes shining with excitement, and reminded, take care of yourself. The whole family was super reluctant, but honestly, not one of them tried to stop him. Wei Yan Hao held back his emotions, shouting back, don't cry, I'll be back soon. His sister waved her little hand until their figures completely disappeared. Wei Zhenghan laughed heartily on the side, drawing a disapproving glance from his wife. Stop laughing. The sound of hooves echoed on the forest path, marking the official start of the journey. Wei Shan Hao sat firmly on horseback, his profile resolute. This trip was off to a smooth start. Well, at least for Wei Shan Hao. Meanwhile, my stomach's doing backflips, and this bumpy ride is about to shake my bones apart. Wei Yan Hao flopped weakly onto Wei Shan Hao's back and asked, barely hanging on, are we there yet? Wei Shan Hao replied without even looking back. 10 days to go. What? 10 days? Came Wei Shan Hao's super chill voice. If you could ride a horse, we'd get there in 5 days. Wei Yan Hao immediately shot back. I've already told you, I've never ridden a horse. Shan Hao didn't even blink. I'm not blaming you. You totally are blaming me. He just added, I'm literally just answering your question. Wei Yan Hao slumped weakly over the horse, whining, can we take a break? This crappy mountain road is shaking me to pieces. He pointed at a withered tree on the hill. Look over there, those people are chilling too. Wei Shan Hao's eyes sharpened, and he yanked the horse to a sudden stop. He swung off and walked straight toward that tree.
Wei Yan Hao shouted in confusion, hey, where are you going? Wei Shan Hao stood beside the people, not turning back.
Wei Yan Hao urged, what are you doing? Wei Shan Hao's voice was heavy. We're too late. They're all dead. Wei Yan Hao's face turned pale.
10 what? He couldn't help but scream at the top of his lungs.
Wei Shan Hao grabbed the corpse's collar, commanding, look at this. A bloody flower mark was imprinted on the chest of a corpse, surrounded by black veins. Wei Shan Hao spoke coldly. This is called the lotus palm. Wei Yan Hao stammered, repeating, lotus, lotus palm. Wei Shan Hao explained, it used to be called red flower palm, but then some jerk named Shuzia went around causing chaos with it, so people switched the name to lotus palm instead. Wei Yan Hao jumped in fright, stammering, whoa, wait, a villain? Are you saying he's nearby? Wei Shan Hao clenched his fists, his tone serious. He targets women who climb mountains. These bodies mean Shuzia just ambushed these people to capture a woman. His eyes sharpened as he declared, in other words, there's a woman in danger nearby. I'll be right back. You stay here. Before Wei Shan Hao finished speaking, he transformed into a streak of light and dashed away. Wei Yan Hao screamed in terror. You want me to stay with these bodies? He shouted at the quickly disappearing figure. Hey! The only response was the howling wind. Wei Yan Hao stood alone, trembling, as the horses snorted uneasily. He slowly turned his head to look again at the lifeless bodies on the ground. A thought made him break out in a cold sweat. I'm doomed. Liar, you said you'd be right back. Why is it taking so long? If I'd known, I would have just tagged along. He hugged himself and paced around nervously, thinking, wait, did something go wrong? Otherwise, he wouldn't be this late. As night fell, the distant howls of beasts echoed. I have to do something. He grabbed the reins tightly, cold sweat streaming down. If I stay here any longer, I'll be a tiger's meal. A thunderclap tore through the night sky, scaring him out of his wits. Large raindrops began to fall, drenching him as the rain intensified. I'm really doomed. A desperate scream pierced the rainy night. How did I end up like this? He gritted his teeth, used all his strength, and tried to haul the bodies onto the horse. Heave-ho! The horse freaked out and neighed, then suddenly backed away. He panted heavily, collapsing into the mud. Damn, I can't just leave them here for the tigers to snack on, but it's pouring. There's no way I can bury them right now. He gritted his teeth and tugged desperately at the reins in the pouring rain. I have to find somewhere to hide from this downpour. But the horse just stomped its hooves and neighed in frustration, refusing to budge. He shouted angrily, "Why? Can't you just be obedient?" The river became increasingly turbulent, and the rain poured down harder. Boom! A lightning bolt struck, causing the horse to rear up and throw him off violently. Ha ha ha. He landed heavily in the mud with a muffled groan. The beast ran into the rain without looking back. It tumbled around in the mud and crashed straight into a cave hidden by thick leaves, sending a bunch of leaves flying everywhere. It lay on its back, feeling like its whole body was falling apart. In a daze, it seemed to roll into a dense thicket. Ugh, my back, that damn horse! It propped itself up, finding itself in a cave, just right for sheltering from the rain. He looked around and suddenly froze. It's a cave. Awesome. I found shelter from the rain. And would you look at that, the two horses actually followed me here, he called out in surprise. You guys! He grabbed the reins, trying to lead them in, but the horses just neighed pitifully. He sighed. Sigh, I can't even bring myself to hit them. He let go, muttering to himself in disarray. What bad luck, I should have stayed home. I left a mark outside the cave, hoping my brother can find me. Never mind, I'm going to sleep. He lay heavily on the ground, hoping his brother was okay. No, he's strong. I believe he will. Yeah, he zonked out. The cave was silent, with Wei Yanhao and the two horses sound asleep.
Sunlight flickered outside the cave, then night rolled back in. While he was sleeping, a gentle blue glow wrapped around him. He stretched out comfortably, a little smile curling at his lips.
That ball of light gently tugged his body, floating him deeper into the cave, right towards a stone wall. The wild part, wrapped up in that blue light, he just breezed straight through the rock wall like it was nothing. The blue light faded away, and he floated gently back down to the ground, still snoozing away like a baby. He woke up groggily, rubbing his eyes. He looked around. The ceiling of the cave seemed unfamiliar. Where is this? This really does look like the cave I fell asleep in. Did I somehow go deeper inside, or did I just roll in here while sleeping? An ethereal voice echoed through the cave. Chosen one. Wei Yanhao was so freaked out, he nearly jumped out of his skin and let out a startled scream. Yikes!
He was so scared he plopped right down on the ground, looking totally baffled. An ethereal voice echoed through the cave. Welcome to the land of destiny, my lightsaber successor. A glowing blue orb suddenly popped up out of nowhere. He stared at it in confusion and asked, "Wait, are you talking to me through this shiny thing?"
The voice replied, "Yep, I've moved way past the whole flesh and blood thing. I'm literally talking to you from outside time and space." The voice went on, "Just vibe with my will, then go rule the world." Wei Yanhao was pale with fright and screamed, "Ghost!" The voice calmly soothed him. "No need to freak out. I've been dead forever. All that's left here is my will." The voice explained, "I set all this up for the lucky person who shows up after me. So, just go ahead and accept my will. No questions asked." His fear was instantly swapped out for a totally different emotion.
Hold up, this feels kinda familiar.
An empty cave, an old guy's last wish. Wait, is this one of those legendary chance encounters? He grinned from ear to ear and threw his arms wide open, shouting excitedly, "This is heaven rewarding me for being such a good person. As long as I level up here, I'll never have to set foot in that stupid martial arts school again." The voice hurried him. "There's not much time. Inherit my imperial sword and bring justice to the world." He agreed without a second thought. "Of course," the voice went on. "I'll teach you the light sword, but you'll have to train non-stop," he replied. "Sure thing," the voice added. "You've got my blood in you, so your talent should be enough. If you grind it out here for 30 years, you should be able to pull off a few of my moves." His smile froze instantly, and he repeated in disbelief, 30 years? The voice confirmed, "Yep, just 30 years. He immediately cut in, "Hold up." That bright smile returned to his face as he shrugged. "Yeah, I think maybe this destiny thing just isn't for me. Maybe you should go find the next lucky person instead." The blue glowing orb was quiet for a moment, then suddenly roared, What? He thought to himself, totally unbothered. "Honestly, I'd rather pass on this chance than be stuck here for 30 years. But it was this run-in that made that so-called loser Wei Yanhao grab the sword, which shattered in the blue light, and just like that, he became insanely powerful. He waved cheerfully with a grin. "Yeah, I guess this just isn't my thing. You should really try someone else. Alright then, see ya." He spun around and bolted when a voice behind him called out anxiously, "Wait, wait, wait." He stopped in his tracks and looked back, confused. Huh? Out from the glowing orb popped up the soul of an old man with white hair, introducing himself as Bai Wuhuan, who then yelled, "Hold up!" Wei Yanhao pointed at him like he'd just solved a mystery. "I knew you were a scammer." Bai Wuhuan's soul was fuming. "Fraud? How dare you call me that?" Wei Yanhao shot back without backing down. "You pretended to show me the way, and when that trick didn't work, you finally dropped the act." Bai Wuhuan's soul said, "I'm not pretending. I'm actually a wandering spirit." Wei Yanhao crossed his arms, skeptical. "A wandering spirit?" Then out of nowhere, he shouted, "Ha!" He swung his fist right through Bai Wuhuan's phantom. Bai Wuhuan stared, totally baffled. "What are you doing?" Freaked out, he stumbled back and shrieked, You really are a ghost. Stop calling me that." Bai Wuhuan's ghostly soul got triggered by that name. Ghost? This is soul transmission martial arts, something only the top-tier martial artists can pull off. Yeah, we just call it ghost stuff. Bai Wuhuan was absolutely fuming. "I told you, I am not a ghost." The campfire crackled as Divine Dog started telling the story, nice and smooth. The historian asked in disbelief, "Wait, soul transmission martial arts is actually real?" The Divine Dog replied with confidence, "Yep, that's something only top-tier martial artists can even remember." The historian pressed further, "So, has anyone ever pulled this off?" The Divine Dog's eyes sharpened. "Ever heard of the Sword Emperor?" As Jason, no additional words, not. The historian straightened up, super respectful. "Of course I know him. He's literally the strongest person in history, the absolute legend of the Bai clan of 1,000 swords, and a martial arts master people will remember forever." The owner of that voice was none other than the strongest man in history, the Sword Emperor Bai Wuhuan. The historian was stunned. "Wait, for real?" he shouted. "Isn't he like, from 300 years ago?" The Divine Dog waved his paw. "Yep, that's ancient history. But anyway, he's the reason Wei Yanhao became who he is." The historian sighed. "That's honestly impressive. So, once Guang Wuzun finds out about this, he's gotta be begging to take him as a disciple, right?" Han the Divine Dog snorted. "Wei Yanhao? Nope. Actually, it's the total opposite. The Sword Emperor waited 300 years with nobody interested. He needs a disciple, desperately, no matter what." He yelled at the top of his lungs, "You have to be my disciple." Wei Yanhao just turned around and walked off grumbling, "Why are you freaking out here? I'm not even from the Bai family. I seriously can't learn from you. I'm out." Bai Wuhuan's spirit roared, "You think I'm just going to let you walk away that easily?" Suddenly, a powerful force shot out from his hand, slamming shut the path right in front of Wei Yanhao. So, Bai Wuhuan's soul just burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, how about that? Pretty cool, right? This is one seriously thick stone door. With your current skills, forget about lifting it or breaking it." He leaned in close to Wei Yanhao's ear, coaxing, "But if you learn my martial arts, you'll be able to slice through it like paper and walk right out." Wei Yanhao crossed his arms, let out a sigh. "Ugh, well, looks like I've got no other choice." Bai Wuhuan's ghostly self was yelling behind him. "I already told you, there's no way you can break through this stone door with your skills." But Wei Yanhao just ignored him, grabbed some random sword from who knows where and started scraping away at the floor. Bai Wuhuan asked, "What are you doing?" Without looking back, he replied, "Can't you see?" "I'm digging a hole," he explained. "No matter how tough it is, it's still stone. With metal, you can wear it down eventually. I could probably dig through this in a year or two." Bai Wuhang stared at him, totally shocked. "You're planning to dig here for a year or two? Seriously?" Compared to the 30 years of training he just mentioned, it's like comparing a tiny witch to a giant one. This dude's a total nutcase. I can't even beat him to death. Bai Wuhang gritted his teeth and swore, "Go on, just try learning it." "I won't let you down." Wei Yanhao looked at him with obvious disdain. "Yeah, well, I don't like you." Bai Wuhang took a step back and tried to bargain. "How about this? I'll let you go after 20 years. 20 years? Wei Yanhao shot back without missing a beat. "Nope, way too long. If you say 3 years, I might actually consider it." Bai Wuhang's soul was shaking with anger. 3 years, you little rascal? You think you can master my martial arts in 3 years? Not even if Zhang Sanfeng himself came back from the dead. Wei Yanhao stood up and shrugged. Well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. Bai Wuhang gritted his teeth, forcing out the words, 5 years, give me 5 years. He clapped his hands, going all in, and shouted, "I'll do whatever it takes to make you number 1 in the world in 5 years. Wei Yanhao stroked his chin, looking thoughtful. To become the number 1 martial artist in the world in just 5 years. Plus, I've never heard of a spirit as lively as him. Maybe this skill isn't something you just pass down by word of mouth, and honestly, he might be mixing truth with lies. But hey, he could really be the number 1 martial artist in the world. If that's the case, well, let's seize this chance to become a grandmaster." 5 years, what a steal. A sword, gleaming with a cold light, was stabbed into the ground. All right, he made up his mind. "I'm in." The Divine Dog went on. Of course, back then, Wei Yanhao had no idea he'd bumped into the Sword Emperor. But honestly, the Sword Emperor's luck was pretty terrible. Because at the end of his life, the person he ran into happened to be that guy, snoring away and drooling in his sleep. Bai Wuhang's soul was roaring in his ear. Get up, you idiot! Wei Yanhao cracked open his sleepy eyes, yawned, and grumbled. Ugh, I'm exhausted. Don't you ever have to sleep? Oh right, you're dead. He sat up and added, perfectly justified, I'm human. Humans need sleep, you know? Bai Wuhang's soul was literally shaking with rage, letting out a howl at the ceiling. He swallowed his anger and forced out through gritted teeth. Alright, fine, sorry, let's just start training now. After all, the one and only disciple he finally took on at the end of his life turned out to be a lazybones who wakes up just to complain about practice. He slept all day and only practiced once during training. Bai Wuhang's ghostly form was jumping anxiously beside him. At this rate, forget 5 years, even 50 years won't be enough. Wei Yanhao asked innocently, is there an easier way to learn? Bai Wuhang's ghostly form roared. This is already simple enough. As long as he didn't speak, at least he wasn't that annoying. Wei Yanhao muttered to himself, that's why I said I need to find a capable master. Every word he said seemed to ignite Bai Wuhang's anger. The ghostly form behind him kept repeating angrily, that's why I said I need to find a capable master. That's why I said, I'm really sorry. If he still had a physical body, he might have gone mad with anger and fainted on the spot. Bai Wuhang's ghostly form lamented in his heart. To achieve success and fame, to pass down my martial arts, my soul has to endure such a terrible situation. Bai Wuhang's ghostly form sighed deeply. If I had a body, I'd have to beat him up before teaching him. Wei Yanhao was rolling on the ground, laughing heartily. He suddenly sat up and curiously asked, Oh right, master, how did you do it? Bai Wuhang was puzzled. Do what? Wei Yanhao pointed to the cave entrance. Put down that stone door. Can't you use that kind of power to control my body, then teach me martial arts? Bai Wuhang explained. I just pulled a preset mechanism rope. Seeing Wei Yanhao's face, like, how'd you pull it without a body? He added, that's got nothing to do with having a body or not. I just used qi to tug the rope with my mind. He hadn't even finished before he suddenly froze like, wait, why didn't I think of that sooner? He suddenly burst out laughing like a maniac, totally freaking Wei Yanhao out. Huh? What? What's up with you? Old man, have you finally gone mad? Bai Wuhang's ghostly form muttered to himself. I've always been troubled by not having a body, or maybe because maintaining this ghostly form for 300 years, some parts are incomplete. Anyway, thanks to you, I just picked up something pretty neat. Wei Yanhao hadn't even had a chance to ask him, what are you mumbling about? Old man. A rock came flying at him out of nowhere, and he stared in horror at the weird stone behind him. Bai Wuhang's soul floated there, holding a glowing purple energy ball, suddenly having an epiphany. Thanks to you, I just realized, even without a body, I can totally move rocks however I want. Wei Yanhao freaked out and stepped back. Old man. Bai Wuhang's soul had this wild look in his eyes. If I can move rocks, and right then, all the stones in the cave started floating up, swirling around him. Then I can do this kind of thing too. Wei Yanhao was terrified, shouting, wait! He babbled incoherently, begging for mercy. Old man, no master, we can talk this out. Screams echoed throughout the cave. Some crazy powerful force twisted him up and struck a swordsman pose he'd never even learned before. A scream so dramatic it could win an Oscar echoed from the cave, lasting forever.
From that day on, Bai Wuhuan and Wei Yanhao trained like there was no tomorrow, day and night.
During the day, he was stuck in endless, relentless sword training, and at night, the two of them would argue non-stop about everything. Whenever Wei Yanhao fell asleep, Bai Wuhuan would bust out his legendary dreamlike martial arts and train him right in his dreams. Even while sleeping, Wei Yanhao was groaning in pain. There was literally no escape from the grind. Bai Wuhuan's soul basically turned his whole life into a sword, and Wei Yanhao was already living that sword life too. He didn't have any time to slack off anymore. And just like that, 5 years zoomed by in a blink. When he came back, he shoved open that heavy stone door, stepped out into the world again, and instantly shook up the whole scene. He ran his hand over his chiseled abs, cracked a smile, and said, "Finally, I'm out." One day earlier, someone called out, "Wei Yanhao, Wei Yanhao." He was fast asleep, a little drool at the corner of his mouth. "Ugh, let me sleep a bit longer." Another voice called out, "Wei Yanhao." He sat up, totally annoyed, and complained, "Ugh, I told you just let me sleep a bit more. You seriously don't believe me." Wei Yanhao looked up, confused, and saw Bai Wuhuan surrounded by this blue aura, who simply ordered, "Come here." Wei Yanhao stared at the old man sitting cross-legged, low-key shook by a vibe he'd never seen before. What's going on here? Bai Wuhuan squinted his eyes and started talking. "Honestly, I've basically spent my whole life just chilling with martial arts." He looked super eager and said, "My dream is just to see where all this martial arts stuff leads," Bai Wuhuan went on. "So honestly, I don't really care about anything except martial arts." There was a hint of sadness in his voice. Focusing only on chasing the end of martial arts turned me into this grumpy old man that all my disciples avoid. Wei Yanhao frowned, thinking, what's up with him today? This is so not like him. Bai Wuhuan thought back and said, honestly, looking at it now, it's no wonder my disciples don't come looking for me. Watching the memory of those backs fading away, he went on, I mean, I ditched my wife and kids all for martial arts. Bai Wuhuan reached out like he was trying to grab at thin air. I used to think, if I could just see where martial arts ended, I'd have everything I ever wanted. But I was wrong. His expression softened. Martial arts are, at the end of the day, all about people. If you're chasing after sword skills alone, and don't share the journey with anyone, what's even the point? Bai Wuhuan looked at Wei Yanhao and said, you're the one who made me realize that. Wei Yanhao's eyes widened a little. Bai Wuhuan went on, you know, this is my first time ever teaching someone. He looked back on the past, his voice a mix of all sorts of feels. I've been annoyed and frustrated too, but watching you grow has made me genuinely happy. So many memories of our training flash by, and I think I finally get what friendship means. Wei Yanhao blinked, a little lost. Master, what's up with you today? You're talking like we'll never see each other again. Bai Wuhuan replied softly, yeah, it's about that time. Wei Yanhao was stunned, then snapped out of it and yelled, wait, what do you mean? It's time, huh? You really think I'd fall for that? Bai Wuhuan explained, I gave you my inner strength in the form of a spirit pill so you could survive here without needing to eat, but keeping it going, way harder than you think. He closed his eyes, sounding super tired. I'm all out of juice. Time to say goodbye. Wei Yanhao got worked up and demanded, why? Why didn't you tell me? If you'd said something I would have just left, found some food, and come back to keep training. Bai Wuhuan gave a half smirk. If you left, I know for sure you'd be back anyway. Yeah, I get how you feel. He switched topics, turned away, and Bai Wuhuan explained, honestly, I really gave you my energy in the form of the magical pill so you could survive here without eating. A spark keeping it going. Yeah, picture it way trickier than dragon just owning the world. He closed his eyes, sounding tired. Bai Wuhuan totally out of control now. Time to say goodbye. Really, Wei Yanhao got all worked up. Why'd you do that? Everything else, why didn't you tell me? Oh, if you just told me earlier, I'd have left with the people some snacks and come back to keep training. Bai Wuhuan gave a slightly sarcastic smile and said, if you left, I'm sure you'd come running right back. Seriously. Yeah, I get how you feel. If nobody remembers which topics and turning to the side, Bai Wuhuan said warmly, honestly, the had a great time. Swallowed up Wei Yanhao. I'm right there. Bai Wuhuan.
The time we spent together was awesome. I did want to see you travel the world, but you know what? This works too. His eyes sparkle, and in my mind, I could already picture it. Wei Yanhao,
there's still so much I haven't learned.
Dragon, taking on the world together.
I can totally picture you taking over the world already. Bai Wuhuan closed his eyes and said, go out there, see the world, and keep it close to your heart. He added, once you do that, everything else will just fall into place. Oh, and before you go sightseeing around the world, start by seeing people first. Wei Yanhao quietly replied, Master. Bai Wuhuan warned him, I was always looking up, never watching my own step. Don't make the same mistake I did. He said seriously, even if I never see you again, even if nobody remembers I existed, my legacy lives on in your moves. In your sword moves, that blinding brilliance just totally engulfs you, Wei Yanhao. I'm right there with you. Bai Wuhuan's figure started to fade, and his voice grew distant. So even if you're not that amazing or not super strong, that's totally fine. Wei Yanhao shouted in a panic, Master, you can't just leave like this. He reached out, babbling, begging, I still have so much left to learn. No, actually, you know what? It's fine if I don't learn anymore. Wei Yanhao let out one last desperate roar. So just stick around a little longer. One more day. Bai Wuhang's figure faded away like mist, leaving only his last words behind. Just be happy, that's all. Wei Yanhao reached out helplessly, chasing after the traces that had vanished. Alone, he stepped out of the cave, whispering, Master, why didn't you tell me sooner? Tears rolled down uncontrollably. Now Wei Yanhao was gritting his teeth. So this is why he ghosted me without saying goodbye. He stared at the package that had popped up out of nowhere and grumbled, when did he even pack all this stuff? Couldn't that cranky old man leave like a normal person for once? He waved the clothes around and yelled, what the heck is this stuff, huh? Oh right. Before he vanished, Bai Wuhang scribbled a message on Wei Yanhao's shirt. In short, the martial arts Wei Yanhao had been learning for 5 years were still incomplete. Figuring that Wei Yanhao might slack off once Bai Wuhang was gone, Bai Wuhang set up a special gadget on him. The inner core from Bai Wuhang that Wei Yanhao swallowed will keep leveling up his martial arts skills non-stop, but it's not an automatic power-up, it just seems that way. If Wei Yanhao's progress in martial arts doesn't keep pace with the core's growth, his energy will be drained by Bai Wuhang, leading to his demise. Bottom line, kid, if you slack off and skip training, you're literally toast. Wei Yanhao cursed through clenched teeth. That damn old man was definitely up to something. He kept reading the stuff his master left behind. So, go travel the world and check out all kinds of things. When you see the world, you'll start to feel things. When you feel things, you'll learn things. Don't settle for being a nobody in some tiny place. Go experience big things and become someone who matters. He pouted and mumbled under his breath. Dusk, freaking master. So the first place you gotta go is Rulin. Find the #1 scholar in the world and stick with him. Why? Just wait. You'll definitely catch some vibes. After Rulin, Wei Yanhao yelled at the distant mountains. Wait up, you crazy old man. Seriously, how many places are you sending me to? He stretched and let out a long sigh.
Sigh. I was actually planning to go home and I know my big bro is totally fine, but I've made up my mind. Once I get everything sorted, I'll head back. So mom and dad, please don't stress too much.
Wei Yanhao looked determined. I've got things I have to do. He turned, knelt down in front of the empty cave entrance, and spoke earnestly. I'm not coming back, so don't forget it. He bent down and yelled into the cave. You're seriously annoying till the very end. Wei Yanhao set off on his journey, mumbling as he walked. Honestly, where on earth is Rulin anyway? After he left, a phantom of Bai Wuhang quietly popped up at the cave entrance, snickering. Hehehehe. Then he burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. Bai Wuhang's phantom cackled. You idiot, if you don't get out and see the world, you'll dry up and shrivel like a mummy. Seriously, what kind of martial art is that? No way am I letting you just settle down in some random backwater. In this vast world, Wei Yanhao looked tiny, like a little dot. Bai Wuhang's voice echoed around him. This world is way too huge for you to play it small. Bai Wuhang's ghostly figure kept talking.
And seriously, you'd be wasting all your martial arts skills, you little rascal. Bai Wuhang's phantom whispered behind him. Thanks to you, I've been pretty happy. His figure drifted away with the wind, and his final words echoed back.
Be happy, okay? Wei Yanhao paused, as if sensing something. He caught a whiff of fresh grass in the air. Time flew by, and soon he was in Kaifeng City. A few days later, Wei Yanhao looked like a total mess. His clothes were in tatters, he could barely walk, and he was practically skin and bones. He shuffled up to a guy sitting on a log and said, "Excuse me." Then Wei Yanhao asked, "Is this Kaifeng?" The beggar sect branch leader, Zhang Yi, stared at the mummy-looking guy in front of him and stammered. Yeah, it is," Wei Yanhao replied. "I'm here to ask something." Zhang Yi blurted out, "Money." Wei Yanhao was left speechless. "I need to pay," Zhang Yi replied. "Of course, there's no such thing as a free lunch." His voice sounded like he was barely 20, but his face, easily 50.
Anyway, out of all the beggars I've ever met, I've never seen anyone like you. You look more like a ghost than a person. Zhang Yi waved his hand and said, "Just because we're from the same hometown."
"I was gonna help you out for free, but rules are rules," Wei Yanhao asked, confused. "Same line of work?" Zhang Yi replied.
Yeah, 'cause we're both beggars. Wei Yanhao looked totally lost, then blurted out, "How do I look like a beggar?" Zhang Yi pointed at him and shot back,
"You're obviously a beggar. Anyway, if you don't have money, I can't help you. Off you go get some cash and come back." "I'm not a beggar, so why should I beg for food?" Zhang Yi explained. "It's not that only beggars beg. If you beg, you're a beggar, period." He looked Wei Yanhao up and down and said, "With your looks, just put a basket in front of you and you'll rake in cash. Why waste that talent?" Zhang Yi paused, then suddenly grabbed Wei Yanhao's hand and asked, all excited, "Hey, wanna team up with me?" Wei Yanhao asked, "Do what exactly?" That day, all Wei Yanhao did was sit there quietly, and before he knew it, he was surrounded by a mountain of coins. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi was having the time of his life, buried in a room full of money. Laughing like a maniac, he shouted, "Ha ha ha! I just made enough to cover this branch's expenses for half a year in no time." Outside, the other beggars heard the ruckus and started buzzing. "The god of wealth is here! The god of wealth is here!" One beggar asked what was up, and another replied, "Seems like a super pitiful beggar just rolled in." Zhang Yi tried to keep a straight face, fiddling with a bone in his hand, and asked, "So, what do you want to know?" Wei Yanhao laid out his wish list, a list of famous scholars' hangouts, hobbies, and skills. "Oh, that's easy. The same for famous blacksmiths, where they are, what they like, and what they're good at." Then he added, "And one more list." Zhang Yi cut in, "What? Another one? That many?" Zhang Yi let out a sigh and said, "Well, I promised you, so I'll tell you. Come back in 7 days." Seeing Wei Yanhao lying on the ground, he added, "Hey, I never said you could just lie there." Wei Yanhao replied, "I've got nowhere else to go and nothing better to do, so I'll just hang out here." Zhang Yi hesitated for a moment, then finally gave in. "All right, whatever. Stay if you want." "All right, suit yourself and stay." A few days later, Zhang Yi was already regretting it. One of the underlings came running in all flustered and yelled, "Boss, something's up." Zhang Yi, already annoyed, snapped back, "What's all the noise about now?"
"A couple of beggars. What kind of trouble could they possibly cause?" His underling stammered, Well, boss, us beggar clan folks, I think we're about to starve." Zhang Yi blinked, surprised. "Wait, what?"
A rich guy yelled at a bunch of beggars, "You fake beggars! How dare you come here asking for food? Get lost!" Zhang Yi's assistant shouted, "Quick, this way over here!" Zhang Yi asked, "What on earth is happening?" and just froze, totally stunned. Just then, a crowd gathered around Wei Yanhao. Someone said, "Hey you losers, if you're going to be beggars, at least be as good as him." Everyone started throwing money in front of Wei Yanhao. "I've never seen anyone this pitiful in my life," they said with sympathy. "Oh man, that's so sad. Have something to eat, you silly." Zhang Yi's eyes went wide in shock, sweat pouring down his face. Wei Yanhao, with coins clinking all around him, gave a little smile and said, "Making money is a breeze. The beggar world? Yeah, that's mine now." Wei Yanhao let out a big yawn and said, "I'm thirsty." Zhang Yi instantly jumped up and yelled, "Hey, water! Bring me some water!" Wei Yanhao looked at the bowl with total disgust and said, "This bowl is way too dirty." Zhang Yi immediately turned to his guys and snapped, "Get me some water in a new bowl, you clueless beggar." He grumbled again, "And the water's warm too. Go get me some cold water from that blasted mountain." Zhang Yi yelled at the frantic beggars, "How many times do I have to say this?" Wei Yanhao sprawled out comfortably. "Yeah, not bad. This is really pretty nice." Zhang Yi clenched his teeth, shaking with anger. "Seriously, I'm the branch leader of the beggar gang and I've been reduced to waiting on this ridiculous beggar. But what else can I do? If I kick him out, my guys are going to go hungry, and he still wants his intel on top of that. When will it get here? Oh man, this is bad. If this keeps up, we're all doomed." Branch leader. Right then, a beggar came running in all excited, waving a stack of papers. "The info's here." Zhang Yi was so happy he almost cried. "Finally, it's here at last." Wei Yanhao stretched out and let out a relaxed sigh. "Ah." He glanced at the intel handed over and asked, "This is it?" Zhang Yi looked down at him and shot back, "Wait, you seriously think you can trade this for money?" Wei Yanhao said, "What do you mean?" "Here you go." Wei Yanhao handed the paper over, and when he opened it up, his brows furrowed. "Are these idiots seriously trying to get us all wiped out? This isn't even half of what he asked for. Gotta come up with something quick." Wei Yanhao sat up and asked, "Is it because I didn't pay enough?" Zhang Yi reached out, hurriedly shouted, Wait, before this maniac does anything, then yanked Wei Yanhao up and said, "We can't just let you beg out on the street. Come on this way." Zhang Yi declared, "I'll get you the info." He led Wei Yanhao into a fancy pavilion, and a woman's voice floated over with a chuckle. "Well, look who it is. Tiger Dog, what a rare guest." A stylishly dressed lady stepped into view. She was Gui Lanlan, the glamorous branch leader of Kaifeng's noble house. Zhang Yi bowed respectfully and greeted leader Gui. Off to the side, Wei Yanhao echoed, "Tiger Dog." He leaned in close to Zhang Yi's ear and teased in a whisper, "Is that really your nickname? A dog, you cheeky little thing. Ha 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 ha." Zhang Yi was fuming, this freaking jerk. Zhang Yi turned to Gui Lanlan and said, "I need some intel, you rascal." Wei Yanhao echoed his tone, "Intel, rascal." Then he added, "Jerk." Gui Lanlan remarked, "Well, this is a surprise. The beggar sect's Kaifeng branch leader coming to the nobles for info. You do realize we're rivals, right? So, what brings you here?" Zhang Yi quickly explained, "I'm not here for the beggar sect. I just brought a client along." "Loser!" Wei Yanhao chimed in. "Loser!" The corner of Gui Lanlan's mouth twitched. She asked, "Are you joking right now?" Zhang Yi tried to explain. "It's not for the beggar clan, but the client is a beggar." Gui Lanlan's eyes turned icy. "Are you insulting us or just trying to pick a fight?" she went on. "We don't have any intel to sell to the beggar clan." Wei Yanhao chimed in. "Hey, I'm not with the beggar clan." Gui Lanlan spun around and warned, "If you keep coming at us like this, I won't have any choice but to do something about it. Just so you know, we've got self-respect too." Wei Yanhao replied, "Aren't you guys supposed to be some kind of intel agency?" He kept pressing, "But you don't even know if I'm from the beggars sect or not. You guys make a living selling intel, but you don't even know this. Basic skills, totally missing." Gui Lanlan smirked with a hint of mischief. She turned around and called out, "Gong Mu." A voice came from behind. "Madam." Gui Lanlan asked, "Who is he?" Gong Mu replied, "We don't know him, but he's definitely not from the beggars sect." Wei Yanhao puffed up his chest and asked smugly, "See? Told you." "So can you sell me the intel now?" Gui Lanlan replied coolly, "Nope." She chuckled and said, I don't feel like it. Get lost." Wei Yanhao snorted, "Ha," then commented, "You seriously have zero business sense. I'm offering cash and you still say no." He went on, "Honestly, I think the rich and powerful are basically toast soon." Gui Lanlan spun around and warned, voice icy, "You better watch your mouth unless you want to see your arms and legs chopped off." Wei Yanhao shot back, "Am I wrong though, old granny?" Gui Lanlan's neck veins popped out as she shook and repeated, "Oh old hag." She yelled, "Are you insulting us right now?" Wei Yanhao casually put his hands behind his head and shot back. Gui Lanlan shrieked, "Gongmu, teach him a lesson." Gongmu sprang into action. "Yes, ma'am." He moved faster than a flash, launching his attack in the blink of an eye. He swung his palm straight at Wei Yanhao's head, and Zhang Yi yelled in panic, "No!" Don't! Wei Yanhao pushed Zhang Yi aside, whispering, Move! He raised his hand to counter. A powerful force burst out. Blue light shattered the ground, pinning Gongmu down. Gulanlan and Zhang Yi stared in shock at what just happened. Wei Yanhao looked at his own hand, a little surprised. Huh? Zhang Yi stammered. Are you like a martial arts master? Wei Yanhao replied offhandedly. Oh, sorry. Gongmu collapsed on the ground, totally out cold. Wei Yanhao scratched his head and explained, If someone hits me, I just instinctively hit back. He looked at Gongmu lying there and said, If you told me you were about to attack, I would have gone easy on you. Zhang Yi thought to himself, I mean, I figured he might know some martial arts, but I didn't expect him to be this strong. He's basically a beast.
Wei Yanhao scratched his head and grumbled. Ugh, this is all that old guy's fault. Gui Lanlan lowered her stance and said respectfully, I really had no idea.
You're such a VIP guest. Wei Yanhao said. What are you talking about? You've been talking to me this whole time. Lanlan's gaze sharpened. Anyway, it looks like you're not here for anything good.
Zhang Yi jumped in surprise. Huh? He quickly explained, You might not believe me, but I swear I'm not here to fight. It's just that there's some intel the beggar's sect can't get, so I came to ask you for help. Gui Lanlan asked, So that's why you brought him here? Zhang Yi replied, Yeah. Gui Lanlan questioned, You realize this is basically like bringing a tiger into a rabbit den, just to grab a little fur, right? Zhang Yi insisted, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm being serious. Gui Lanlan finally relented. All right then. I believe you. Zhang Yi let out a big sigh of relief, thanks. But then Gui Lanlan switched gears, saying, Giving you the info is a whole other story. She glanced down at her people and said, Your client really did mess up my guy, so we're gonna need some compensation for that. Wei Yanhao stammered, See compensation. Lanlan's eyes turned icy. In the underground world, there's only one simple rule. She spelled it out. A blood debt gets paid in blood. A life for a life. A bunch of masked people suddenly popped up and surrounded them. Whoa, squad goals! Wei Yanhao commented. Everyone here sure loves a dramatic entrance. Gui Lanlan said, I don't know why you're here, but since you hurt my people, there's no way you're walking out of here unharmed. Wei Yanhao said to Zhang Yi, annoyed. Hey, stop tugging at me, jeez. Is this really that hard to get? I already said it was an accident. I just tapped him because he tried to hit me first. Gui Lanlan's mouth twitched. This scrawny jerk. He said coolly, The rules in the unorthodox martial world are simple. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Wei Yanhao scoffed. Sounds like something a loan shark would say. Zhang Yi quickly stopped him. Hey, I told you to zip it. A masked guy chimed in. We just need to slice a bit of flesh off your face and we're good. Wei Yanhao raised his hand to cut in. Hey, sorry, just to interrupt, but honestly, there's barely any fat on my face. He patted his own cheek and laughed. Honestly, I haven't even had a decent meal lately. Gui Lanlan clenched her jaw, then shouted, Kill him! The assassins lunged in a flash, their blades glinting red. Watching the attacks coming from all directions, Wei Yanhao said, Wait, I thought you guys just wanted a slice off my face. He went on, but now you guys are actually trying to kill me. He added, Man, that's some seriously steep interest. Kind of terrifying, honestly. Wei Yanhao zipped around the flashing blades like a blur, casually grabbed an assassin by the face, and slammed him straight into the ground. In a blink, all four shadows were down, while Wei Yanhao remained unscathed. Yi Lanlan stared in shock, letting out a scream like she just couldn't believe what was happening. Wei Yanhao glanced at the assassins he just sent flying and commanded, Nobody move. Around his feet lay shattered swords and knives. The assassins lay sprawled on the ground, unable to get up. He spoke slowly. Honestly, I really don't. Blue energy surged out from inside him, swirling all around. In a low voice, he finished his sentence. Feel like killing anyone right now. Wei Yanhao ordered, Nobody move. Gui Lanlan's heart skipped a beat. His vibe was intense. Wei Yanhao remembered what his master said. If someone's bold enough to attack once, trust me, they'll come back for a round 2, 3, even 4. So I seriously can't let that happen. He commented, I don't even like that old guy, but honestly, he's never wrong. Gui Lanlan realized, uh-oh, I messed with the wrong person. He's way out of my league. She thought to herself, I gotta pull myself together. If I mess up, the whole branch of the prestigious clan could go down because of me. Gui Lanlan asked, So, what do you want? Wei Yanhao replied, Information. Gui Lanlan pressed, Yeah, but like, what kind of intel are you even after? Wei Yanhao had Zhang Yi pull out a sheet covered in writing and said, I've got these papers. I want you to fill in the blanks here. Gui Lanlan took the paper and glanced at it, thinking to herself, Seriously, this is it? They dragged a total beast into the family over something this basic?
He said, That's easy. I just need a little time. Can you wait? Wei Yanhao replied, Sure. Gui Lanlan said, All right then, give me about 15 minutes.
She turned to Zhang Yi with a sly look in her eyes. As for the beggar's sect branch leader, come over here and see me. Zhang Yi was so scared, he nearly jumped out of his skin. Meanwhile, in another room, Wei Yanhao suddenly burst out laughing. Ha! Pfft! Ha ha ha! He pointed at Zhang Yi's face, swollen like a steamed bun, and teased, "Bro, your face literally looks like a bun. Did she just lay you out? Ha ha ha!" Zhang Yi's cheeks were bright red as he muttered, "Shut up!" Wei Yanhao kept teasing, "Wow, so this is the legendary beggars sect? Getting beat up like that by a rich kid?" Zhang Yi fired back, "Does that woman look like just some random member of the family to you?" He practically shouted, "She's the boss's daughter, the future head honcho. She pops magical pills like they're snacks. She's tried every fancy thing you can imagine." Zhang Yi said in utter despair, "How could I ever beat her?" Just then, the door swung open, and Gui Lanlan walked in, announcing, "I've brought the intel." Wei Yanhao took the documents and replied offhandedly, "Oh, thanks." Gui Lanlan plopped down at the table and added, "But we do have our own rules." Both of them looked at her at the same time and asked in perfect sync, "Huh?" Zhang Yi leaned in and whispered, "Info fee." Wei Yanhao blinked, "Huh? How much?" Gui Lanlan replied, 5 tiles. Wei Yanhao pulled out a few coins and said, "That's cheap, here you go." Zhang Yi quickly corrected him, 5 tiles of silver. Wei Yanhao blinked in surprise. "Wait, what? Why is it so pricey?" Gu Lanlan explained, "Honestly, this is pretty high-level intel, that's why it's pricey." Wei Yanhao stood up. He said, "Oh, alright then." Zhang Yi asked, "Where are you headed?" Wei Yanhao replied, "What do you think? I gotta go earn my 5 taels of silver." Zhang Yi freaked out, hurriedly grabbed his leg. No, wait, I brought you here for a reason." Wei Yanhao asked, totally confused. "Huh? So what am I supposed to do now?" Zhang Yi shouted. "Hold on a sec." He gritted his teeth on the verge of tears. Ugh, seriously? Zhang Yi had to use up all the money Wei Yanhao earned, plus his own secret stash, just to scrape together 5 tiles of silver. For the bit he couldn't cover, he even wrote an IOU. Clutching his chest dramatically, he groaned, "My heart hurts." Wei Yanhao asked, "Hey, are you crying?" Zhang Yi yelled back, "Hey you demon, I spent all my secret savings because of you." Wei Yanhao looked over the intel and commented, "This is seriously detailed. Way better than the stuff the beggars sect brought. You guys are totally in a different league." Holding a letter, Wei Yanhao asked, "I also want to mail this to Guangdong. Is it gonna cost a lot?" Gui Lanlan said, "It'll be pricier than the courier service, but I can hook you up. In exchange, you gotta answer a couple of questions for me." She asked, "What's your name?" Wei Yanhao answered, "I'm Wei Yanhao." Then Gui Lanlan followed up, "How old are you?" "I'm 17 now." Zhang Yi shouted in shock. "What? You're younger than me?" Gui Lanlan murmured under her breath, 17 years old. His martial arts skills? No way, he's just 17. He stared at Wei Yanhao and said his name out loud, Wei Yanhao. Then, all of a sudden, he got hyped and asked, "Wei Yanhao from Guangdong. Are you the second son of the Wei family in Guangdong?" Wei Yanhao blinked in surprise. Yeah. You know me?" Gui Lanlan replied, "Of course, the Wei family from Guangdong hired us to find you." Zhang Yi blurted out in shock, "Wei Yanhao, the second son of the Wei family in Guangdong. Are you Shan Hao's little brother?" Wei Yanhao asked. You know my brother?" Zhang Yi immediately replied, "Of course, I'm his buddy." Gui Lanlan asked, "So, you want to send the letter to the Wei family in Guangdong? It'll take at least 10 days to get there." Zhang Yi thought to himself, "Wow, I actually have to suck up to this kid." Wei Yanhao replied, "No worries. They've waited 5 years already. What's another 10 days? Gui Lanlan pulled out a piece of red cloth and said, "Oh, and here's this. It marks you as a special guest of the prestigious family. If you tie it up wherever you want to go, a prestige clan intel agent will pop up to find you."
He looked at Wei Yanhao thinking, a 17-year-old who can beat the 4 shadows? Yeah, nobody in the Central Plains is pulling that off. Wei Yanhao asked, "Oh, is it free?" Gui Lanlan handed over the red cloth and said, "Nope." Gui Lanlan thought, having someone like him on our side is definitely a win for us.
Wei Yanhao said, "Tsk, then it's pointless." Gui Lanlan replied, "In that case, next time I'll give you the intel for free." Wei Yanhao asked, "For real?" Gui Lanlan answered, "Yep, just for you. Because of what happened before, we really don't want to lose you as a customer." Wei Yanhao grinned and said, "Honestly, nothing much even happened, right?" Zhang Yi complained, "My face looks like a steamed bun, and I'm totally broke now." Wei Yanhao chimed in, "Yeah, that kind of thing happens a lot. Maybe it's just because you're a loser." Zhang Yi yelled, "I'm not." "Ugh, my money." Wei Yanhao reassured him, "Money? It comes and goes. Anyway, for a pro beggar like you, don't be so greedy. Just embrace your inner street vibe." Zhang Yi thought, "I can't even beat this guy." Zhang Yi said, "Anyway, you got the info you wanted, so we don't have to see each other anymore, right?" Wei Yanhao called out to him, "Wait up, got a question." Zhang Yi asked, "Now what?" He answered, totally deadpan, "I'm broke." Zhang Yi was so mad his face practically warped, cursing in his head. Seriously. Off in the distance, a red building stood tall. Gui Lanlan ordered, "The cemetery." A woman answered the call. It was the helmswoman. Gilanlan told her to send a letter to the sect. Then he added, let them know the missing second son of the Wei family from Guangdong has come back, now as a martial arts legend. Meanwhile, Wei Yunhao rolled up to the front gate of the Grand Academy. At the Pine Grove Grand Academy, a guy was just chilling and sipping his tea. Wen Yuhuan, one of the 3 top scholars, sighed and said, not bad at all. His daughter walked over and said softly, Dad, Wen Enji says there's a guest here to see you. Wen Yuhuan replied, I've got nothing on my schedule today. Wen Enji added, they said they want to play a game of chess with you.
His eyes lit up instantly, and he asked Wen Enji, is the guest here? Right then, Wei Yunhao walked in and said, hope I'm not interrupting. Wen Yuhuan greeted him warmly, of course not at all. It's honestly an honor to have a guest drop by. I heard you want to play Go with me. Wei Yunhao replied, it's the only game I know. Wen Yuhuan chuckled, all right, let's give it a whirl. I'll play white, so Wei Yunhao, have a seat, he said, here we go. Then he grabbed a black stone from the box. Wen Yuhuan thought to himself, I shouldn't get my hopes up, he totally looks like he's just here for a free meal, so after this game I'll help him find his way out. Wei Yunhao grabbed a stone and dropped it down quick. Crack, the sound echoed through the room. Wen Yuhuan's expression shifted slightly. He thought to himself, yeah, this guy's definitely not a newbie. Alright then, let's see what you've got. Another crisp clack as the stone lands. He played at lightning speed. Wen Yuhuan stroked his beard thinking, wow, it's rare to see someone this skilled at his age. The clack of the stones just kept coming, one after another. Wen Yuhuan's hand froze midair, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. What on earth is happening here? He's not just fast. Wei Yunhao leaned on his hand, grinning. You're not gonna move? He's basically the war demon incarnate. The board was a total mess of moves. Wen Yuhuan thought, incredible. The black and white stones intertwined, like falling into an endless abyss. His style was like raging waves. He's like someone totally obsessed with fighting, charging in even when nobody asked for a fight. Spot the tiniest opening and bam, he lunges in like a starving demon ready to take a bite. Seriously, he's the war demon incarnate. Wen Yuhuan said, that was a great game. Your style is really something else. Wei Yunhao replied, thanks. It's all because my master bullied me into it. Wen Yuhuan asked in surprise, wait, you have a master? Wei Yunhao remembered what his master used to say. If you lose, your training gets cranked up to 10 times harder. But if I lose, you get 3 days off. He added, yep, he's one seriously strict old man. Wei Yunhao asked, if it's not too much trouble, can I crash here for a while? My master told me to hang out in the Confucian forest for a bit. Wen Yuhuan replied, oh, you're following his advice? Of course, I've got you covered. I'll get a room ready for you. Stay as long as you want, no pressure. He told his daughter, get him a room, some fresh clothes, and show him to the bath. Wen Enji replied, got it. Wei Yunhao hesitated and said, but I'm broke. Wen Yuhuan burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, come on, I'd never charge a guest like you. Honestly, even if you didn't ask, I was planning to invite you to stay anyway. He added, in return, just play a game of Go with me or my guests every now and then. Wei Yunhao replied, no problem. He turned to leave, saying, alright, catch you later. Wen Enji said to him, come with me. Wei Yunhao sank into the steaming bath with a relieved sigh. Ah, this feels amazing. He thought to himself, when I was a kid, I hated taking baths. Maybe it's just because this water's so nice, but my skin feels all fresh and clear now. His master's ghost popped into his mind and he grumbled, I'm so comfy I could cry. This is all that damn old man's fault. Wen Enji walked over, hugging a pile of clean clothes. Wen Enji thought to himself, I seriously don't get my dad. Why would he let someone like that stay over? Wei Yunhao stood up out of the bath, which freaked Wen Enji out so much he let out a scream. Ah, Wei Yunhao asked. What's up? Wen Enji stammered, I thought you were a ghost. He quickly covered his eyes with the clothes and shouted, please, please cover yourself. Wei Yunhao grabbed a towel and said, okay. As he wiped himself down, water trickled down his ripped muscles. He towel-dried his hair and asked, is this good now? Wen Enji asked, who are you? A few days later, Wen Enji burst into the room shouting, Dad, can you please say something to that guy? Wen Yuhuan asked, who? Wen Enji replied, that new guy. Wen Enji grumbled, he literally never leaves his room. He just eats and sleeps all day and he's been like this the whole week. Wen Yuhuan thought to himself, I forgot to ask his name. Wen Enji kept going. You always said laziness is a sin, that people should keep themselves busy, so why won't you call him out for being lazy? He might be a guest, but he's totally killing the vibe here. Wen Yuhuan replied, Enji, I love playing Go. He explained, when you play Go, you learn a ton about your opponent. You can hide your face or what you say, but when you're playing, there's just no way to hide who you really are. he went on. Someone without patience just can't play patiently, and people on the other end of the spectrum, they'll never figure out how to actually enjoy the fight. When you play chess with them, you can totally see how they vibe with their own personality. When Yu Huan thought about Wei Yanhao and mused, his chess style is wild and impatient. I've never seen anything like it. No way is he a lazy guy. He commented, I bet his life has been seriously rough. When Yu Huan said, when the sun shines bright, its shadow gets just as dark. If he's being lazy now, it probably just means life's been super tough for him up till now. When Yu Huan said, you shouldn't chase away a bird that's just come under your roof to hide from the rain. No need to question why it's not out flying. Why not just fly in the rain? He wrapped it up with, so let him chill. When Enji replied, okay then, thinking, well, that's what I said. He looked at Wei Yanhao's room, which was a total disaster zone, and thought, Dad's been duped. This lazy bum is nothing like how Dad described him. I'm kicking him out of here. He walked over to Wei Yanhao and yelled, get up! Wei Yanhao was jolted awake, asking, what? When Enji yanked off his blanket and shouted, the sun's already shining on your butt, Wei Yanhao sat up. Really? Then just wake me up when the sun goes down. When Enji shot back, seriously, what is wrong with you? Everyone here is studying, so why have you spent the whole week doing nothing but sleeping? Wei Yanhao replied, they study because they want to, and I sleep because I want to. What's the problem? When Enji shouted, Shut up! I can't stand you lazing around here all day without even taking a shower. Do you even know who's been washing your sheets? You should at least do something for the meals you eat. I bet you didn't know this, but we're not some rich family. We can support people who are here to learn, but we seriously don't have enough to feed someone who just lazes around all day. Wei Yanhao shot back, but your dad said... When Enji cut him off, I'm the one in charge of the money, Wei Yanhao asked. So what do you want me to do then? When Enji pointed at the mountain of dirty laundry in the yard and said, go wash the clothes. Wei Yanhao looked at the pile of dirty clothes and asked, all of them? When Enji replied, not much. Wei Yanhao asked again, is this enough to cover my meals? When Enji said, yep. Wei Yanhao grumbled, what, you think you're serving me gold-plated rice or something? When Enji cheered him on, good luck. Make sure you wash everything squeaky clean. If anything's not spotless, I'll just make you do it all over again, so don't slack off. He thought to himself, serves you right. There's no way you'll finish this today. 2 hours later, when Enji saw all the laundry hanging perfectly clean in the yard and was so shocked he couldn't even speak. He thought, wait, how did he... When Enji stared at the freshly dried clothes, thinking, have they always been this white? How on earth did he pull that off? Staring at Wei Yanhao chilling on the roof, when Enji made up his mind. No way, I'm not letting him laze around anymore. I've got to get him moving. He pointed at a pile of firewood. Wei Yanhao asked, all of it? When Enji replied, you've got a week. You can handle that, right? He thought to himself, I bet he'll bail after one day. But Wei Yanhao ended up splitting all the firewood in no time. When Enji stared at the mountain of firewood in shock, what the heck, this would normally take 10 people 10 days to finish. As for the dishes, every single plate and bowl was sparkling clean. Even the garden looked immaculate. How? When Enji clenched his fists in frustration, how is he this good at everything? And just like that, Wei Yanhao's wild and chaotic life here officially began. The divine dog said to the historian, but it was a mistake to take him in. He should never have let that person into his home. The historian asked, why? The divine dog replied, because that guy is a walking disaster. Trouble just tags along wherever he goes. The divine dog added, he probably doesn't mean to, but wherever he shows up, chaos follows. The divine dog explained, Lin is just the same. A place this chill and peaceful? The moment Wei Yanhao shows up, boom, chaos everywhere. The historian was like, what happened? The divine dog started the story. It all began with a game of Go. Wei Yanhao let out a big sigh of relief. He thought to himself, I just thought it was a random thing. Guess everyone really did get the letter. The crowd was buzzing. Well, if the 3 top scholars sent him a letter, this guy must be something special. I wonder how unique his Go style is. Another person chimed in. I'm curious too. That's why I rushed over. Someone else added, bringing people to play with me is cheating. When Yu Huan wrote in the letter, stagnant stones will rot. The table is set and waiting for its master. He continued, if the time is right, come for the next game. Wei Yanhao yawned, lazily placing a piece. The crowd erupted with, nice move! A Go master had appeared. One challenger after another stepped up to Wei Yanhao, but they all bit the dust. I lost. Wei Yanhao yawned again. He said, who's up next? And just like that, the Go master had officially landed at the Great Hanlin Academy.